Is it possible to remove late payments from my credit report? Look, life happens, and this is a very frequently asked question that I receive from someone when they are applying for a mortgage. And to answer this question, I'm going to bring in my go-to guy for credit repair, Jonas Mitchell of Scribble. But before we do, help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel, make sure to click the bell to get notified. Also, if you don't mind, like my page on Facebook and help me out again, follow me on Instagram. We're going to answer this question starting right now. Hey, Jonas, thank you so much for taking time to help answer some frequently asked credit repair questions. I have someone come to me, a client comes in, they want to purchase a home. We check their credit, and this is probably one of the most frequent things that happen is we look at their credit and there are late payments showing on their credit report. Sometimes they know what they are. Sometimes they are legit. Other times they are, hey, I thought that autopay was set up and it wasn't. Or they were traveling, tried to make the payment electronically, couldn't do that. So this frequently asked question is, what steps can I take to have late payments removed from my credit report?
Sure thing, Rod. And late payments are certainly a pain for anyone. So first, let's talk about what a late payment is, and then we'll talk about how we can remove it. So a lot of times when people come to us, they believe that a late payment simply means whenever I miss my original payment, so my due date's on the 1st, and I make my payment on the 2nd, they feel like that's where the late payment comes in on your credit report. When in reality, the worst case scenario, whenever you miss a late payment in the first 30 days, is that you may get a late fee from that original creditor. But in regards to having anything hit your credit report, you actually have a 30-day buffer in order to make that payment. So if your payment is due on the 1st and there's 30 days in that month and you don't make your payment until the 1st of the next month, well, now you're 31 days late. And so now you're going to get that 30-day late payment. And a 30-day late payment actually means anywhere from being 31 to 60 days late. Again, that's 31 to 60 days late. You're going to get that 30-day mark on your credit report. So if you have a 60-day late payment, that means that you were 61 to, 89 days late. Mm-hmm. And then it just sort of goes up, right? So it's 30 days starting from the first day after what's being reported.
So your 30, 60, 90-day periods. Gotcha.
Bingo. Okay, so that's where you get that late payment in. Okay? And that actually goes all the way up to 180 days late, Rod. Okay? Now, so let's talk about how we remove a late payment. So the one thing about credit that most people don't understand is that the vast majority of our credit system is actually run by computers. So when we talk about the credit bureaus themselves, they have two systems. They have the optical OCR, or optical character recognition, and they have eOscar. So those are the two systems that do the vast majority of combing through all of the dispute letters or collecting information from creditors and then reporting it out to all the people. Well, the same thing goes for all of the major companies that are out there. Usually there's a computer system that reports whether you are 30 days, 60 days, 90 days late. It's not a specific human being that's going, oh, Jonas just missed his payment today. I guess it's time for us to go through and report him over to the credit bureaus, right?
Right.
So knowing that there are all computer systems running the entire system, there are bound to be inaccuracies or there are bound to be mistakes that are found on our credit reports all the time. As a matter of fact, Rod, 79% of all information that's found out there about credit on our credit reports, 79% of that information is found to be inaccurate. And the reason why is because we've got the credit bureaus who are in charge of providing credit reports. So every time a creditor runs your credit, they get paid.
And they're a
so
business.
They're in charge of running the reporting the information. And so you tell me, if you're the one that's running a business and your job is to make sure that people can run more credit reports, well, if there's inaccurate information that's on a credit report and that lowers a credit score, then that means that more people are likely to have their credit run or have get denied for credit. So is it not good business sense, Rod, to have inaccuracies on credit reports?
Oh, yeah, because you got to keep paying them to get the information.
Absolutely. And so it's not up to the credit bureaus to put accurate information out there. They just report whatever information is out there, period, and they just put it out there. Now, if you challenge that information, that's where we can go ahead and get the updates and get your score improved quickly because you go through and you find the inaccuracies, you get those removed, and now you're good to go. Okay?
Okay.
So let's get back into it. Here's what we're going to do. The first thing we want to do is we just want to write a letter over to the credit bureaus, the big three. We're talking about TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And we simply want to write a letter to them and say, hey, I'm looking to purchase a home and I'm getting my information in order. And I recently pulled my credit report and I noticed that there are potentially some inaccuracies that are found on my credit report. So that's the first paragraph. Now we're going to get into the information of getting them to actually create the disputes. So while going through my credit report, I noticed that this account, and so you want to put the account name and the account number. So I noticed that this account is reporting that I was, if you have a 30-day late payment, then you want to say that is reporting that I was 31 to 60 days late on my credit report. So please verify with the original creditor that this information is accurate. Okay? So that's all we're doing. We just want to ask them very specifically. Now, pay attention. I said that even though it's a 30-day late payment, I said that they're reporting that it was 31 to 59 days late. The reason why we do that is that's exactly what the computer system is going to put whenever it's communicating with the other computer. Okay, so we want to speak the computer's language. So now that we've put the reason as to why we're disputing, for the instruction, we want to put, please verify that this information is accurate. If the information is not accurate, or if you cannot prove that the information is accurate, delete this information now. Okay? And I did notice, Rod, there was one thing that I missed in there, so I want to make sure that I get them set up correctly. So we did mention that they're reporting the 31 to 60 days late. You also have to include the month. Okay? So it's reporting 31 to 60 days late, 61 days late for the month of March 2019, for the month of April 2017, etc. Okay? So that's very important. If you leave that out, you run the risk of having that auto-verified and they won't make the update for you. Okay? So then we've now put the reason and we've put the instruction. So just go back and put exactly what I said. You want to verify the information. If they cannot provide proof of the information being verified, then please delete the information. Or if you're not looking to delete the account, you simply ask them to update the account to show proof, to show positive, or to show paid on time. I'm sorry. Let me say that again so there's no mud. Okay, so we said, if you cannot verify the information with the original creditor, please update this information to show that it was paid on time. Okay, so that's exactly what you're going to put on there. And then on the last piece, you just want to put, if the information has been verified or updated, please send me a full copy of my new credit report or of my updated credit report and send it to this address, and then, put your address, and then you're good to go. So this will work, Rod, if you have a few late payments, okay? So if you have
29 late payments or 30 late payments, the likelihood of this happening is slim to none because there is a pattern. But if you have a couple, look, life does happen, right? It happens. You set up an auto pay or you mailed the payment, it didn't get there on time, wrong address, whatever, things happen. But if you have one or two, or maybe even a rolling 30, 60, 90 day that there could have been an auto pay not done, the likelihood that you would get something like that updated and those lates removed, what I hear you saying is higher than if you have a history across multiple accounts of being late.
Exactly. So usually we try to keep it under 90. And if you have the 90, you just want to start sort of from the top and then work it down. So don't go after, the 60, if it's 60, 30, and 90, you can go after that just fine. If it's past 90 days, you want to focus on like the last one. So it's reporting that I'm 180 days late. Challenge that one by itself. Then once you get that one knocked off, then you challenge the 120. When you get that knocked off, then you can do it. You see what I'm saying?
So you eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Chunk. You don't want to do the whole big thing at once because the likelihood of it all being inaccurate all at the same time is not going to happen. So if you have multiple in one string, then you can start at the top and work your way down. But doing 30, 60 is okay. 30, 60, 90, you know, I'd almost recommend just starting with the 90. 30, 60, absolutely, that's believable. Number one, that, you know, hey, I missed my auto pay, so it's no big deal. So that's perfectly fine for that. Okay.
Awesome.
Now, let's say that you are someone who has multiple late payments all over the place. Then, in that regard, then you may want to just go ahead and go for a pure deletion of that account. So you just want to verify the information. Listen, having inaccurate late payments is inaccurate information. So I noticed that there was some inaccurate information on this account, and I want you to verify it with the original creditor. If they can't verify it, ask them to delete. So instead of asking for that updated part, instead of saying update, say please delete. That simple. Now, let's say you go through that process and it comes back verified, then that's not the end of the world. We can then go to the original creditor and we're going to craft what's called a goodwill letter to the original creditor. Now, it used to be that if you fell on bad times, the creditors were willing to work with you. We've actually found now that they're less inclined to work with you if you fell on bad times, because now, unfortunately, with COVID-19 going on and what happened with the financial crisis before, they don't have as much sympathy for people going through and having hardship problems. So what we now recommend is that you actually write the letter and say, hey, listen, I'm looking to buy a house, you know, to whom it may concern. I'm looking to buy a house, and, you know, like you said, I actually thought that my auto pay was set up for the months of here and here, and it just didn't happen. I actually had the funds in my account, and what you would do is do a little homework, download your bank statements, black out your account number, and then send that in with your letter that says, you know, hey, for these months, I actually had the funds. I simply forgot to make the payment. Is there any way that you can forgive me? As you can see, I've had, you know, this many months of on-time payments since that late payment or since those late payments, and I really appreciate everything that your company has done for me, and I really value our relationship. Is it possible for you to please update this information? The credit bureaus have actually told me that if you fax in your information that tells them to update that information, they will actually be happy to update that information for me. They just need your authorization to do so. Send that letter in, and we have seen people get their information updated just by doing that as well.
Awesome. Jonas, thank you. That is some very helpful information. Guys, if you're watching, I know this may sound like a lot, so I have some helpful information in the description below, as well as a way to contact Jonas if you want the guru to help you walk through this process. Thank you again, Jonas, for taking time out of your schedule to share this information.
My pleasure, Rod.